Hollywood changes most people, but not Chris Hemsworth. Some stars act nice on screen but avoid real interactions. Not Hemsworth. He goes out of his way to surprise fans, and the results are unforgettable. Here are some of his best surprises. Surprise fans at Ed Sheeran concert. A massive crowd of 70,000 people gathered in Romania for a concert. They expected an amazing night with Ed Sheeran, but something unexpected happened. As the music played, fans suddenly noticed a familiar face on stage. It was Chris Hemsworth, sitting behind the drums ready to perform. Ed Sheeran had invited his friend Chris to join him for the song Thinking Out Loud. The actor had been learning to play the drums for a documentary, and this was his big moment. The crowd cheered as he picked up the drumsticks. Chris smiled, looking both excited and nervous. As the song started, he tapped the drums, trying to stay on beat. Ed Sheeran encouraged him, making the moment even more fun. The audience clapped along, enjoying the rare sight of a Hollywood star playing in a live concert. Chris focused, determined to keep up with the music. When the song ended, the crowd erupted in applause. Chris laughed, clearly relieved that he had made it through. Ed Sheeran praised his effort, while Chris joked about how hard drumming really was. Surprise visit to Lady Calento. Children's Hospital. Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston made a surprise visit to Lady Calento Children's Hospital in Brisbane. Chris walked in carrying his iconic hammer, while Tom arrived in full Loki costume with his long black wig. The kids gasped and shouted with excitement. They could not believe Thor was standing in front of them. Chris noticed a boy in a wheelchair and asked if he needed help. Chris told him not to worry because they were there for him. Tom Hiddleston introduced himself, and Chris added that he was Thor. They were there for an interview with Juice TV and a young patient named Cohen. The boy had a question: what was it like to be a superhero or a villain? Chris said it was great fun, especially when dealing with Loki, who was always up to something. Tom joked that they were like brothers, but not in real life. The actors spent time chatting, taking pictures, and sharing laughs with the kids. One child got to hold Hammer of Thor, while another playfully tapped Tom on the head with it, making everyone laugh. The children laughed and cheered. The actors spent time talking to them, making sure everyone felt special and happy. Unexpected journey of a hitchhiker. A man traveling alone on the road had no idea his day was about to take a wild turn. He was hitchhiking to Byron Bay when a car pulled over to pick him up. Inside were a few friendly strangers, including Chris Hemsworth, though the hitchhiker did not realize it at first. As they chatted, the hitchhiker shared that he was coming from Mexico and hoped to go surfing in Byron Bay. The passengers seemed excited to help, but then they dropped a surprise. He was not just getting a car ride. Instead, he would be flying to his destination in a helicopter. At first, he could not believe it, but the excitement quickly took over. When they reached the helicopter, Chris helped him put on a headset and get comfortable. As they took off, the man looked out the window, amazed by the stunning views from above. He sat in the back, smiling and holding his guitar, still processing what had just happened. After landing, the group joked that it was time for him to go back to normal hitchhiking. The man laughed, still in disbelief, and thanked them for an unforgettable experience. Giving a fan a haircut. A lucky fan got a big surprise when Chris Hemsworth visited Jimmy Kimmel Live. Jimmy asked if Chris wanted to give someone in the audience a haircut. Chris smiled and said yes. A young man named Liam, a new college student, volunteered. Chris placed a real bowl on his head and started cutting. The crowd laughed as Jimmy joked about the style. At first it looked neat, but soon it started to look like the funny haircut from Dumb and Dumber. Chris said he had never done this in front of so many people. He also shared that he had the same haircut when he was a kid. Jimmy teased him for giving his sons the same style. Chris carefully trimmed hair while making funny comments. When Chris finished, Liam got a mirror. He looked at himself and joked that he might need to move to Australia. The audience cheered. Jimmy called it a supercut, and Chris laughed, saying there were no refunds. It was a funny and unforgettable moment. A birthday surprise for fans. Fans were not expecting what Chris Hemsworth did on his birthday. Instead of a big party, he surprised everyone by celebrating alone with a simple supermarket cake. Many people thought a Hollywood star would have an expensive celebration, but he chose something small and personal. In a video he posted online, he was seen sitting with a white mud cake and a glass of champagne. He smiled and thanked his fans for their birthday wishes. Since he had not taken any photos on his actual birthday, he decided to buy himself a cake and enjoy a quiet moment. As he spoke, he held a small bouquet of flowers. He joked about how, as people grow older, they have fewer people around them to celebrate with. But he made it clear that he was happy with his simple setup. He enjoyed every bite of the cake and even laughed at how much he was enjoying it. Chris surprises a brave fan. Chris Hemsworth surprised a daring fan by stopping his car to meet him. The fan had been chasing his vehicle on a motorbike, weaving through heavy traffic. He held a picture of Chris in one hand, hoping to get an autograph. His determination was unbelievable. Inside the car, Chris watched with shock. He first found it funny, but soon he became concerned. The fan was riding too fast, dodging cars and ignoring danger. Chris worried he might get hurt. For a moment, the fan disappeared from sight, but then he returned with a group of friends, all just as excited. Chris could not believe their energy. He told them to be careful, but they kept following the car, hoping for a chance to meet him. Impressed by their efforts, Chris finally asked his driver to stop. As soon as he stepped out, the fans rushed toward him with joy. They gathered around, taking photos and cheering loudly. Chris smiled and signed autographs, making their risky chase worth it. Later, he shared the video online, joking that the fan had earned a new job as a stuntman. The moment showed how much people admire him, and he made sure to give them an unforgettable experience. Big surprise at Mets game. A father and daughter sat in the upper deck, watching the game. They had no idea something exciting was about to happen. The team mascot, Mr. Met, walked through the stadium, looking for two lucky fans. He peeked through fences, searched the crowd, and finally found them. Mr. Met approached the father and daughter, making them curious. Then he handed them special tickets. Their seats had been upgraded to a much better location near home plate. They cheered, fist-bumping the mascot, thrilled by the unexpected gift. As they followed Mr. Met, the excitement grew. They reached a special area, and there stood Chris Hemsworth, smiling and waiting for them. Their eyes widened with shock and happiness. He shook their hands and gave them big hugs. The father and daughter could not believe their luck. They got to meet a Hollywood star. Chris laughed with them, making the moment even more fun. A birthday surprise for a young actor. A young actor did not expect the surprise he got on his birthday. Chris called him by his nickname, Rudy, and sent kind words along with best wishes for his future. The young actor could not believe it. He felt lucky to work with someone as talented and kind as Chris. Even though Chris is a global star, he took time to send a personal message. This showed how humble and generous he is. Rudraksh said, this moment was like the best part of his birthday. He would always remember it. Chris even promised to meet him again in the future. Another lucky fan also received birthday wishes from Chris. Bollywood actress Shamita Shetty was celebrating her 40th birthday when she got a surprise message from the Hollywood star. She shared a video of Chris wishing her and thanked her fans for making it happen. Her family and friends were just as excited. Her sister Shilpa Shetty joked that she was jealous. Others called her lucky, saying that getting birthday wishes from Thor himself was a sign of a powerful year ahead. Surprise visit to a small town. A quiet town in Northern Territory got an unexpected guest when a helicopter landed on a field. Locals gathered around, curious to see who had arrived. To their surprise, it was Chris Hemsworth, stepping out in a casual outfit. He was on his way to film in his former hometown, but he took time to visit the community. Excited students and teachers from Wugalar School rushed to meet him. Many people came to take photos and talk with him. He spent about 30 minutes greeting everyone and posing for pictures. Crowds gathered quickly, and the atmosphere became lively. Children and adults alike were thrilled to meet the famous actor. He remained friendly and patient, making sure that everyone got a chance to say hello. The school shared photos on social media, calling it an exciting moment for their small community. Crashes Live Weather Report. A morning weather report in Australia turned into a hilarious moment when Chris Hemsworth unexpectedly joined the broadcast. The presenter, Lauren Phillips, was reporting from a countryside location in Scone, talking about horses. Suddenly, Hemsworth walked into the frame behind her, smiling. Phillips noticed him and looked surprised as he casually placed his hand on her back. He joked about the horses, saying there were plenty around. She laughed and asked what he was doing there.
you were doing an interview, did you realize how relatable it would be?
Meanwhile, the studio hosts, Richard Wilkins and Rebecca Mattern, were completely shocked. Their faces showed their surprise as they watched the moment live. Phillips invited Hemsworth to help with the weather report. He happily took over, reading out the forecast in a playful way. He exaggerated words, mispronounced city names, and made funny comments. The two laughed as they continued. At one point, Hemsworth gave a special shout-out to the people of Melbourne, who were in lockdown at the time. He joked about the rainy weather and told them to get their umbrellas ready. Back in the studio, the news anchors laughed, praising Phillips for handling the surprise so well. One of them joked that it was not every day that Thor appeared on a weather report. Surprise at movie screening. A theater in Los Angeles was filled with excited fans ready to watch the latest Marvel film. They had no idea something unexpected was about to happen. The lights dimmed, and the director of the movie, Taika Waititi, walked onto the stage. The audience cheered as he greeted them with excitement. Then he teased the crowd by saying he had some special guests to introduce. Before anyone could guess who, the side entrance opened. Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson walked in with big smiles. The audience erupted in loud cheers, clapping and shouting in excitement. People stood up from their seats, waving and pulling out phones to capture the moment. Chris and Tessa laughed, enjoying the energy of crowd. They waved back and even chatted with some fans. The excitement in the room kept growing. After greeting everyone, Chris took a moment to thank the fans for supporting the film. He shared how much it meant to him and the whole team. A fun office surprise. A normal workday turned into something special. Ellen and Chris Hemsworth walked in to surprise office workers. Ellen wanted to celebrate their hard work. She and Chris moved through the office quietly. Ellen told Chris to crawl on the floor to stay hidden. Chris whispered that his knees hurt, making everyone laugh.
Quieter.
When they found the right desk, Ellen suddenly said hello. The worker, Leslie, turned around and froze. Her eyes got big when she saw Chris standing next to Ellen. She gasped and kept saying, "Oh my God." Chris picked up the office phone and playfully asked how she was doing. Leslie could not believe what was happening.
Hi, how you doing?
Ellen explained they knew she was a big fan of Chris. Since she took care of others, today was her turn to relax. Chris smiled and gave her a massage. He asked if she had any tense areas. Ellen joked about adding oil, making everyone laugh. Leslie, feeling excited, made a funny comment about getting naked. That made the whole office laugh even more.
He's gonna get his
Naked? Okay.
he's married, you know that?
I know.
The fun continued with jokes and cheers from coworkers. Ellen then made a big announcement. Since Chris played a secretary in the new Ghostbusters movie, Leslie was invited to the movie premiere in New York. She would get a hotel stay and airfare. Leslie was so happy, she joked about leaving her husband behind.
I don't have to take my hats off,
More
right?
massage? No.
No, you're not gonna. He's not.
After that, the group played a limbo game. Then Chris and Ellen brought out a cake. They asked if the workers wanted cake or tequila. The office workers shouted for tequila. Ellen and Chris poured drinks for everyone. The whole office cheered. Leslie hugged Chris and said she would never shower again. Everyone laughed and celebrated. It was a day they would never forget.
I'm never showering again.
A funny birthday surprise. Chris Hemsworth come up with a fun way to wish Dwayne Johnson a happy birthday. On the counter in front of him was an actual rock with a candle stuck on top, making it look like a birthday cake. The candle was lit, adding to the joke. Hemsworth looked at the camera and sent his birthday wishes to the rock. He then joked about not receiving any of Dwayne's tequila, which had been sent all around the world. Instead of being upset, he played along, calling the rock his homemade cake. With a grin, he made his birthday wish and blew out the candle.
So, not a worry. Made this little rock cake here, just come out of the oven.
Surprise visit at theme park. A group of kids at Disney California Adventure had no idea their day was about to get even better. They were already excited to be at the park, enjoying the rides and attractions. Suddenly, a group of familiar faces walked in. The stars of Avengers Endgame, including Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr., Brie Larson, Paul Rudd, and Jeremy Renner, entered the area. The kids stared in shock as they realized who was standing in front of them. Some gasped, while others cheered loudly. Chris Hemsworth smiled as he greeted the children. He shook hands, took photos, and even shared a few jokes. The kids could not believe they were meeting Thor himself. Other Avengers stars joined in, making sure every child felt special. The visit was part of a charity event to support children with serious illnesses. Disney donated millions of dollars to help hospitals and organizations that care for kids. The Avengers cast was there to bring happiness and excitement to the children. Unexpected guests at a local restaurant. A small Mexican restaurant in Alamogordo had already closed for the night when two men knocked on the door. The staff inside did not expect any more customers, so one employee, Rhonda Bailey, let them know they were closed. But then, one of the men said something surprising. He told her that Thor was standing right there. At first, she did not understand what he meant, but when she looked closer and realized it was Chris Hemsworth, she quickly changed her mind and invited them in. The kitchen, which had already shut down for the night, reopened just for him. Hemsworth was in town filming the Afghanistan war movie, Horse Soldiers, and had decided to stop by for dinner. The restaurant, usually a quiet place, suddenly filled with excitement. Employees and a few lucky customers rushed to take pictures and get autographs. Hemsworth was patient and friendly with everyone, making sure to greet each person and take his time with them. One of the most heartwarming moments happened when a little boy named Angel, the son of one of the cooks, woke up just to meet him. The boy was a big fan, and Hemsworth made the moment even more special by signing his action figure. The restaurant staff was touched by how kind and humble he was. The owners, Brenda and CJ Yusuf, were thrilled that he had chosen their restaurant. They believed he had been eating at bigger chain restaurants before deciding to try something different. Chris Hemsworth, funny fan moment. A casual fan meet turned into an unexpected and hilarious moment. Filipino vlogger Will Dasovich and his girlfriend, Alodia Gosieng-Fiao, were thrilled to meet Chris Hemsworth in Bali. The Hollywood star was there to promote his movie, but he ended up giving them a surprise they would never forget. As they posed for a photo, Chris playfully suggested making a heart shape with their hands. Alodia excitedly joined in, completely unaware of what was coming next. While they posed, Chris casually placed his arm around her shoulder, making expression change instantly. He stood to the side, pretending to be jealous as he watched them. Just when Alodia thought the photo was taken, Chris added a little prank. He made bunny ears behind her head without her noticing. When she finally realized what had happened, everyone burst into laughter. Meanwhile, Will acted as if he had seen enough. When it was Will's turn to take a photo with Chris, he decided to turn the situation into a joke. Instead of a normal pose, he playfully challenged Chris to a boxing stance, as if he was ready for a one-on-one fight. Chris Hemsworth knows how to make fans feel special. Which moment was your favorite? Comment below and subscribe for more.